Hello, and welcome to All About You with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host,
Silky Smooth.
And Daydream.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you please join in on the conversation, where your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions help drive the conversation. Today our topic is raising gender-neutral children. Now, have you heard of GNP? No, it's not gross national product. It is now gender-neutral parenting. For most, the decision to adopt a gender-neutral approach to parenting comes out of the belief that we treat and have a different code of expectations at the very moment we know the biological sex of a child. Raising a child gender-neutral is a result of parents' desire to challenge gender stereotypes and to not pigeonhole a child based solely on his or her biological sex at birth. And in an effort to eliminate as much as possible the impact that societal stereotypes or expectations have on individuals as a result of gender, some parents, especially those who have approached this in an extreme way, not only give their children gender-neutral names, but may not reveal the gender of their child to anyone until such time that it becomes difficult to keep it a secret when they begin preschool. It is at that time that a choice is made to either enter the male or female restrooms or be included on a separate list. Gone are the days of blue being for boys and pink for girls, as we have all been raised to believe. A non-binary birth certificate is now being issued in some states in the country as Gender X. Let's talk about another one of God's biblical principles and natural order that is now being altered by man. Gender neutral.
They're trying to turn it into a science, and that's what's bothering me, this GNP thing. It sounds like it's and Gender X. It's like they're trying to force it into some sort of science, like this is what you need to do.
Well, basically, what I think they're doing, part of it is to try their best to create a neutral scientific project that has no emotions either way. I think, isn't there somebody...
They're like androgynous robots is what they're trying to do.
Androgynous, right.
Yeah. Okay, but then is that going to make anybody's life better? Is anybody going to progress? What's going to happen?
Well, I think we're going to...
It's just another way to make us sheeple.
That's it. And we give into it. So now they
I
have...
don't have a problem with being female. I'm happy to be a female. I'm happy to be a woman. I'm not messed up about that.
Yeah, but now they're getting to the point where in the womb they can determine with genetics and they can do things that if you want
a boy or girl, they
with
can do that.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, and they'll create that for you. They'll make sure those DNA traits are in there.
Oh, I go to the store and
yes.
Again, they have taken away God's principles. They have taken away God's
natural order of
and
things.
the natural order of things.
And you can get attractive features too with this.
Well, what your parents say attractive, but I like the fact that people say, "Oh my God, you look just like your mom. You look like your mother."
Dad, right.
Or when they see me next to my dad, it's like, "Oh, you are your father's daughter." I like that. I like looking at
that connection.
Old pictures and of my grandmother and realizing, wow, I really do look like her. I like that. I don't want to
look different.
I mean, think about kids who are adopted or foster. They already have issues with that abandonment. Not all of them, some of them. But why would you want to create that?
It's creating chaos because kids already are confused, okay? So now, and I think also along with this, they're trying to create that super being, that intellectual that has no flaws, has no issues with
and that's
life.
Attractive.
And that's attractive because from the work standpoint, because again, all of this is getting us and leading us towards new world order. I don't care how you look at it. All that is happening right now is taking us down that path. And there's always somebody who agrees with it to say, I don't think my son, because he's a boy, needs to play with trucks and play with bugs and worms. He can wear tutu if he wants to. So basically, that's what this is. And this is very, very strong in Sweden. Sweden has now added a word to their vocabulary that I guess couples and kind of covers this Gender X is pronounced, it's hen. I'm not sure how it's pronounced in but it's hen. So they're doing all these things to accommodate what's coming. And see, the United States has not fully embraced it yet, but I've noticed that a lot of your researchers, your psychologists and psychiatrists and all that, they're all leaning towards raising their children gender neutral.
Well, see, I don't have a problem if my child, my son, my nephew, whoever, I don't have a problem if they want to play with dolls. I don't have a problem if they want to play with the kitchen set. I don't have a problem if they want to, hey, well, they're playing dress up and they're putting on this princess dress. If they happen to be the only boy and they want to participate and that's what they want to do, I don't see anything wrong with that. I really don't. Because think about it, isn't it? There's something where we just naturally, the opposite sex, we will naturally go towards the opposite sex parents, right? And there's just something
innate.
Yes, something innate. There's some bonding that we automatically have. I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, if you're purposely doing it, no, you don't play with trucks. I want you to do this because it's not just women's work. You need to, that I have an issue with.
Well,
but
see,
if it's just a natural inclination for your child to want to do that, then that's fine. There's not a problem with that. I don't feel that there's a problem with that.
And they say most kids who actually play with, unisex toys, like you said, they may play with dolls and all this other stuff, they grow up being heterosexual adults. But somewhere along in there, if you're going to be pushing the kid towards this, trucks and boys,
that's the issue that I have is when they're pushing it. Just the same way I have an issue with the kids. Well, I have an issue with people who sit there and they push gender roles on. Well, that you're a girl, so you're bringing the house and the men's outside. I have an issue with that.
Now that drives
so
me
the
nuts.
same way I have an issue with if you're pushing a gender neutral. No, you're forcing something on them. Let it just happen naturally. Now, if they decide this is what I like and what I want, then that's different. So we don't need to be forcing gender neutral roles anywhere. We need to be forcing and encouraging acceptance of each other.
So we don't need to force gender neutral, nor do we need to force gender specific.
Correct.
And as far as an attractive thing is concerned, just because a parent feels like if I do this to my child, they'll look attractive, the child may come out and say, gee, I hate my looks, because attractiveness is in the eye of the beholder.
All the pictures, think about all our old school pictures.
Yeah.
Aren't we all upset? Everyone gets upset. Why did my mom do that? Well, baby, you just look so cute. Well, look at me now. I look retarded, Mom.
I look retarded now. My eyes are not properly proportioned, positioned.
I got this, chili bowl haircut. You thought it was cute, and look at, here we are, X amount of years later.
I don't think there's any person now who looks back on those pictures and say, "Wow, look at me." We all had. I remember a picture of myself with an afro. I mean, I had long hair, real long, and I look at myself like, "Wow." I guess I was modeling Angela Davis at the time, the afro, but I was part of the. I was a sister soldier. I was revolutionary. I was in there.
Yeah.
But again, because I think there are different aspects of even children. I don't think that you should impose or encroach your opinion on who a child should be. Mm-mm. Let them be who they are, but with some guidance. I think because otherwise you might very well this may be child abuse.
Yeah, not only that, as far as what you're saying about the toys and things, now my nephew, when he was a little guy, wanted a stove and pots and pans and things like that. And I told my sister, I said, if he wants to get it, I said, he didn't. Let him go ahead and explore. And sure enough,
is he a chef now?
Well, I think he's leaning toward that, and he's a graphic designer, but he's straight. Where some people would have said, don't buy him that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he does cook very well.
Right.
I mean, he's well-rounded, and he's straight. It had nothing to do with his sexuality, with the toys he wanted to play with.
I had a cousin, when he was growing up, he loved playing with dolls and wanted to play Barbies, and that's what he asked for. And my uncle had an issue with it, but, my aunt was just like, we'll leave him alone if that's what he wants, and just let him be who he's going to be. He's heterosexual. He's married.
Yeah.
He's, as far as I know, that's, there's never been a sexual orientation issue from what, that I'm aware of, but he was just comfortable. So
it may be healthy at some point to allow them to, there is a minor role in being gender neutral. By that, I mean, they're toys that are just there. Girls play with them, boys play with them. Crayons, cook stuff, dolls, and G.I. Joe and all that stuff. I think we have a caller on the line who has an opinion about this. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello. This is our wellness warrior. This is Susan. Hey, girl. How are you? What is your opinion on gender neutral?
I'm doing great. What's interesting about this is that a lot of the things that we learned to do in our family growing up, because I would say getting raised, you didn't have any boys, so we know things like how to change tires and how to mow lawns and all of the things that are stereotypically male. And I don't think that did anything to change my desire to be a girl.
Right.
I'm still a girl. I'm still very much a girl. I think that it makes you, like you say, it makes you very well-rounded, and it strengthens who you are, so that there are things that I know that I just need to take care of myself in a pinch. Now, have that ability to take care of myself in that way. And I think the same for boys, cook and clean and all of that.
All of that is needed, I think, in order to
Everybody
build
needs
a
to know how to
well-rounded
do
person.
Those are
everything.
basic life skills.
Right, exactly.
Right, like I know
exactly.
how to check my oil and those kinds of things and check the tire pressure and look and see, or I know the odor of antifreeze if it's leaking or something like
Oh,
that.
how major that is. So,
You know, I don't, but it's
so
a
serious.
thing.
So serious.
Yeah, I know, but I do
Oh,
pay
absolutely, I
attention.
agree with
Yeah,
you.
I like being able to go. I love
I
it when
know.
I pop up the hood and start looking around and people say,
Well,
what
I
are you
wouldn't go
doing?
that far. I mean, I know
Yeah.
though. You know, I'm not dumb. I'm not ignorant. So the same
I
thing. When,
played-
you know, if it smells, okay, look, it smells like this is overheating. Let me check. Let me watch my gauges, or let
Yeah.
me check my fluids.
Yeah.
Or you know, I know how to do all that stuff. Now I don't do it. You know, that's what I got a daddy for. I let my daddy know. Hey, Dad, you know, it's making this noise. It's doing that.
Well, he loves it when you tell him
Well,
that, by the way.
absolutely. And just like there, when I go over and if I'm getting ready to leave, even though he can tell I'm in a hurry, he would decide, oh, pop your trunk real quick. Oh, okay. I can't sit there and tell him no and be upset about it, you know?
Right, because you have him
Right.
engrossed in that process.
But I know, you know, like Susan was saying, I know how to do that if and when I need to do it.
You can do it.
You know, I'm never going to be that dependent upon another person
Okay, but
that I
guys,
don't know how.
But what we're talking about here is being at a different age. And see, again, a lot of these parents are not even telling people what sex their child is until they're like 4.
Prince did that. Do you know Prince, did marry someone and they did have a child, but he never would reveal what the sex is. That child died, as an infant. But
Prince brought in part of the pansexual.
yeah,
this is who
and
we are.
he never said, so you never knew what they
Well,
were.
Or it could also be just a privacy issue. You know, his entire life was public for everything.
right.
You know, so that could just be something that they wanted to keep for themselves, and they very well have every right to. And I respect that.
Right.
So, wellness warrior, question: do you support gender neutral parenting?
I'm of the mindset that we should let our children be who they're going to be without that sort of dictation from us.
That's what I think.
Because all we're doing in the end is we're still, in a sense, taking control over who they are. Because we're assuming that just because you don't tell me that your child is a boy, and then your child decides to play with dolls, and then you decide that child is something completely different, as both of you have said, your child may be the manliest man in the room. He may be the chef, married to the woman, having all this babies. Just because he plays with dolls is not dictating his difference.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, I appreciate your opinion, and thank you for the call,
Yes.
sister. And
Thank
we
you
shall
for
talk to you
checking
later.
in
You be
with us.
safe today. Take care of your business.
I sure will. Thank you, ladies.
Okay. Well, you mentioned briefly about Prince. His child had some sort of rare disease too, so there was another reason that
Yeah, and he
didn't
never
wanna
said,
do
and
that.
I understand
Yeah.
that the
But
privacy
you do
thing.
have the artist Pink.
Mhm.
Pink raises her home in a laborless, no labels at all society. So basically, she says she still feels like a 12-year-old boy. So obviously, she is fairly androgynous, as you probably know.
Right.
And she's raising her little girl. Her little girl is about 6. Says, "Well, mommy, when I grow up, I want to marry an African woman." And so Pink is like, "Cool, great." So I don't know what this is, but I think parents believe that they are giving the children a freedom that I don't think they're capable of making at this point. Whether or not to be free from being who you were naturally born to be.
Right. I don't. When they're in developmental stages like that, I feel it causes more harm than anything.
I think so. I think it's
You know, 'cause-
confusion. Kids are
yeah.
confused.
Well, you're telling me to feel like this, but inside I feel like this. It's the same with kids who, if you birth a son, and that's who you were raising, and then one day your son says, well, I feel different. I want to wear dresses and I want to do this, and it could be that they're in elementary. Okay, then whatever you want to do and what you're comfortable with, go with that. Let's do that, but not force it on them on such a young age.
Well, again, talking about Pink, she said that she's a champion for the new gender ideology that does not acknowledge the science of 2 biological sexes, male and female. So in other words, you're going against science, you're going against the order,
Right,
the
and then
natural
try to
order
create,
of things.
and then
Just
create
like
a
create your
science.
own,
That's what
right.
bothers
That's
me.
exactly
Create
what
your
they're
own
doing.
science.
Exactly what they're doing.
That's my argument. Like, you cannot create your own science.
And she says here that she feels like a preteen boy.
Okay, well, you're an adult. That's all
Well,
right.
see,
If you
again,
want to feel
I
like
think
that.
you are influencing
Don't
someone
impose
who
someone-
doesn't need to be influenced that heavily. Let them be kids. Let
Yeah.
them do what they do.
See, and I don't see anything wrong with, growing up, it's like, oh, you want to play with the boys, you want to run outside, or my mom, she had nothing but brothers, she had an older sister, but she was way older,
Yeah.
so, she was always called the tomboy, or, I was called the tomboy, my sister was, because we liked to, we wanted to play sports, and we wanted to be out there doing stuff with the boys and things like that, but there's nothing wrong with that, and for Pink to say I still feel like a 12-year-old boy, okay, well, you never outgrew the tomboy thing.
Right. So you're
Right.
still
But
there.
she's also very much feminine
Right.
when you look at her, and things that she does, and she carries her confidence. So
I think we have a caller.
One thing about me, I'm Phil Simmons.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? This is Phil Simmons.
Hey, Phil Simmons. How are you? Thank you for the call. How are you? So what are your thoughts on gender-neutral children, raising them that way?
Well, my thoughts on raising them that way is that I don't think you should do that. I think that if you've had a child and you know the gender, you would dress them accordingly. Now, when it comes to style, if you're talking about clothing, that's one thing. If you're talking about a mindset, if you're trying to determine, change their mind or their way of thinking so that they have no gender, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I think
that's the extreme.
Yes.
I don't think everybody. I think if you have someone doing that, and we probably have not just now, but in the past.
It's been
we
done.
have so many people that live now in this world that you can have people, for instance, that they started a group now that's worshiping robots.
Are you kidding?
AI. No, I'm serious.
That's another show. AI is another
That's
show.
Yeah, artificial intelligence, yes.
But with so many people, you always have you have more people now doing this than ever before. That if they had a desire, they want their child to be a different gender, and they decide to change their mind so they can allow that. That means that's an extreme situation. That's a mental thing. That's no thing. But as far as letting your child dress, in whatever you want, then the style, that's one thing. If it's mindset, that's another.
Well, I appreciate that point, because somewhere in the research it says that, well, if little Johnny wants to, wear boots and combat camouflage to school, and the next day if he wants to wear a tutu, let him do it. I think you're creating a situation where this child's going to be half off because he's not sure what he is.
And that can be disruptive.
Absolutely.
That's disruptive.
And you know what? I say that, I agree with you that no, you don't allow just anything to happen. It's kind of like, we're taught, the Bible, if you're a Christian, you're taught to raise up a child the way he should go, and when he's old, he's going to depart from it.
Right.
That doesn't mean like you making them wear everything that's going to be like totally out of whack. But what happens is you give them some creativity, but when we're raising children, I don't let my daughter wear, hot pants, shorties to school.
Right.
Why would I let her wear some jeans that make her look, some way other than attractive as I see her? So, we have a right, if they're young, to be able to say something. When they get to a certain age, that training that we've had in the interim, or before that, prior to that, should be still kicking in.
I have a text from someone, and while I have you on the line, I'd like for you to give an opinion on this. And it says, gender activists are killing off our men with their neutral talk. We need boys to aspire to manhood, not to see it as a matter of indifference. By telling our sons they do not have to worry about being a man, we are confusing them. And as we as a society face losing our sons to this dangerous ideal.
Wow.
Yes, and she's absolutely right. And you know why? Because when you have activists doing it, if it's only one, then it multiplies and becomes more times. Well, that's what's happening, and I'm sure it is. And that has not to do with our population. We have so much more people living now that, only a small percentage can actually fill a market need. That's the truth of the matter. You got people who have something, and they don't really try to accommodate everybody because they know that their market's going to get them a certain amount of people. Well, it's the same thing with this thing now. The people you're talking about, they may be a few in number now, but others pick up on it, and over time, they become a significant a topic
and something to be reckoned with at some point.
Yes. And even like when we have bad things, we have people, that bad groups of people, they're multiply with time too. They're not going to get smaller, they're going to get larger because they have more and more people, more and more converts.
Well, as I said, it's big in Europe, especially Sweden, and so now it's kind of gravitating here. I think they're planning on I think Washington D.C. is doing a non-binary birth certificate, so you will have boy, girl, and gender X.
Yeah, well, if you don't like it, I think we'll have to find some way to monitor it and then speak out about it.
But it's a personal call. I don't know that we can. If somebody, however someone raises their child, I don't know that we can have anything to do about that.
Legally binding on it. I'm just saying that that's where you have to speak out to someone. Your senator, your congressman, you gotta speak up. You gotta make your voice heard. What's not, it matters or not, hopefully it does matter when you're on the right track. Because on the right track, you'll attract others, like churches and other people that will also speak up with you. So it's not just your voice when you're on the right track.
Well, the host team, along with Phil, while he's on the line, what do you think this means for society to have a whole new generation of gender-neutral people? Like he said, it's going to be in numbers.
When you say what does it mean to society,
yes,
it don't take a person that spends time studying that, because we have careers and jobs right now that will exist in the near future that never existed before. We're going to have, so when you talk about new personalities and people or way of living, it's only natural that we would have new ways like that. Now, how they affect our society as a whole, some people think that if it's something that goes against the character of man, that it's destroying our society. And that may be happening. But you just have to handle what you can handle. And you have to do what you can do. And beyond that, it's up to God.
Yeah, ultimately, that's where it all stands. But we've gone against every, like I said, biblical principle in this case to create our own gender X.
Yeah, but as a Christian, the devil doesn't rule this world. God is still in control. And, that's why sometimes you wonder why God lets something happen. You say to yourself, well, that's the case. I don't want that. Well, I don't know what God wants. I believe he's the right and just first God. So with that in mind, hopefully whatever is going on, it's going to be okay. So at some point, you have to say to yourself, it's going to be okay.
That's all we can say. We appreciate your call, Phil. Thank you so much for your male perspective, because we can get kind of female up here and just go straight to covering that. I appreciate the call. Thank you,
Phil.
Okay, bye-bye.
I have a comment. What if you got one of these? Oh, I guess
we got to go to break.
Yes. Hold that thought.
You are listening to The Bridge. Share your opinion by calling 713-789-0096. Stay tuned.
That looks like real beef stew, and I don't even eat beef stew.
And it's do not again.
I agree with you. Let me read it.
This is the only one I've ever had to taste it. Real.
This book will stimulate your senses. Begin your journey to self-love today by visiting keys2loveself.com and place your order. That's keys2loveself.com.
What kind of music? Hey, we got
I was trying to find gender neutral music. I couldn't really find any.
No, I kept
You should have played Pink.
Had I realized that, I would have found something by Pink. But I did get something by Cyndi Lauper to close us out. She Bop.
What's it called? What's it called?
It's She Bop. That's a new show.
And it's Asian, which is good.
Remember this guy, Sylvester, from 1978? He died of full-blown AIDS.
He does?
He died of his lover died first, and then he died of full-blown AIDS. But this song was from the 1970s. And he just was out there.
Yeah.
What was he exactly? Feminine? Or was he? Is it that men want to be women? Is that what this is about?
I don't think we want to be men as much as they want to be women. And I don't understand why. If they knew our plight, I think they just want the glamorous part.
I'm always curious if they, do you ever thought about that? Yeah. If they kind of want to be a girl? Because you have more men actors going off into dressing like women.
Yeah, you have more men
Then you have women.
transsexual.
That's
than
what I'm
women
saying. It's more of
transsexual,
them coming this way than us going that way. I don't know why.
You right?
Look at Adrian.
And we are back. You're listening to All About You with OMG and Friends. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host,
Silky Smooth.
And Daydream.
We are talking about raising gender-neutral children. Now, while you may not have given much thought to this, it is happening, and that's what we try to do here at All About You is make you privy to things that are going on that you don't have time to look up and research. This is what we bring to you. But as we were talking earlier, you had a point, Silky, before we went to break?
No, I was thinking if you got one of these Gender X birth certificates, your mom and dad decide to be gender neutral, can you change it if you decide that you don't want that?
You can't change your birth certificate now, can you?
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
You can amend it. I have an amendment on mine because my mom,
Yours
where
says
she was
white.
so, for her, because of the name, I was initially Michael. My middle name was initially Michael, but that's because my mom was just out of it. She misspelled it. And then when she realized, she went and had it amended. So I have an amendment to my birth certificate. I have that original and then the corrected amendment.
Oh, okay. So you're Carolyn Michael Castillo.
I was at one time, yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense
Now, you know,
to me.
Obama made that mistake by calling Michelle Michael at some point. So that's a whole other story. But anyway.
Now, that makes sense to me to change the name. But if you had a Gender X birth certificate bestowed upon you, of course, when you're an infant, you don't have any say in the
You have
matter.
no choice.
You're subject to whatever your parents say, and you have this, and you say, I don't want this. I'm a female, and I'm happy to. Can I change that? The gender and say I don't want to be Gender X. I'm a female, and that's what I want on my birth certificate.
I have a hole instead of a pole, but I'm still gonna say I'm a man.
Yeah.
I don't know that you. I mean, I guess you can. I mean, anything can be amended at this point, and the way we're functioning in this world,
Well,
everything goes. Everything goes.
For a fee, sure.
For a
I mean,
fee,
because for a
right.
fee, we can change our name however many times we want, and we can
We
be
don't.
whatever we want, whatever retarded name we decide to pick.
Sure. California.
Look at Ocho Cinco. He's changed his name officially.
Yeah, to Ocho Cinco.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I remember his football player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But right now, birth certificates from California as well as Washington D.C. They are both offering the non-binary birth certificate, so you can have your child not told either way to the world what it is, and just have Gender X and raise them as such. So I think that's a whole nother.
So the next
that's gonna be a
census,
whole
we're gonna
nother
see that
level.
also.
That's gonna be a whole nother level.
So applications where they ask your gender in college, they all ask your gender. You put X
You can put X at some point. I don't know that you can now.
on the forms because those forms, everything asks for your gender.
Yeah, well,
we're gonna see instead of X, we're probably gonna see male, female, other.
All of that is going to change. Clearly, what we're seeing now and what we're talking about now is going to change our world in the next couple of years. I think we're going to have another question from this. How do you tell other children? I have a little 2-year-old grandson.
Right.
Now, when he goes off to school, I don't want him coming home saying, "What's Gender X? What's that?
What am I?
What?" Right. You're a boy. We've raised you to be a boy. That's who you are. That's what you are.
Yeah.
But one lady responded and said that as soon as somebody finds out that she's pregnant, the first thing they want to know is your child's genitals. And she said that's not fair. So whatever she wants her child to be, her child should be able to be just that.
Well,
Right.
you don't want
Without
anyone to know. I mean, congratulations. Is it a boy or girl? I don't know yet, or we're not revealing the gender until we
okay.
want to
If
be
you
a
wanna
surprise.
do that,
There's
that's
nothing
okay.
wrong with there's nothing wrong with saying that, but not.
People do that now, but not to the tune of you're not going to know who the child is or has developed into until they're 4 or 5. There's a little girl. Her name was Storm. Well, I take that back. It may not have been a girl. There was a child born in Toronto named Storm.
Right.
Nobody's ever seen Storm. And so I think here recently I found in some of the research that Storm has now come out and decided that she wants to be a girl. She still wants to wear men's clothes when she wants to. So I think we're going to breed a whole lot of cross-dressers, and I think the Bible in Deuteronomy in somewhere says do not, dress in men's clothing and women's
Because
clothing.
it's confusing.
Right, and so that's where we're headed. So the world now is at a point where it's just confusion. I mean,
That's
nothing's
confusion.
clear. No, there's no clarity.
Think
just
about
more
this
chaos.
Think about this statement. It is the enemy, the dark Lord, who says, "It is peace I despise and confusion I love."
Oh, they love it. You know, and that's where we're living. We're living in confusion.
How the dark Lord
You know,
says.
so a lot of people think that by raising their children gender neutral, that it is a tribute.
That's what I'm saying. What are they?
That
What's
it
the
is
benefit?
it is a tribute to freedom and choice in place of limitations, a stand up to what the world could become. And they were talking about Storm in this little girl's lifetime.
But could it be that people are really fighting discrimination? Because when you're a female, expect to get discriminated against. Is it an answer to that? Because I don't
know
that's
how
the
to take this.
answer. But if you don't know what I am, you can't discriminate against me.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And well,
Racism and discrimination is always there. They'll find a reason.
there's going to be a way.
Yeah,
but I'm
somebody's
saying,
gonna-
could this be that people are trying to avoid or not be discriminated against?
I don't know. My question also would be whether or not they just want to be women. I mean, I feel, as I said when we were on break, a lot of these people just want to be women.
And when you say these people, you're talking about men that just want to be women?
Yeah, basically,
But-
you don't see a lot of women going around like
But
Tyler Perry and Jamie Foxx and Flip Wilson back during the day and all the other guys in entertainment.
and
they
Dustin
all-
Hoffman.
They
with
all
me,
have
Tootsie.
They all
Sure.
have on dresses. You don't have women going over trying to dress like men. Very
Not to
rarely.
the not to
Very
the degree.
rarely
I
do
don't
you
think.
see this. So I don't know if this
Yes.
is a way of breeding more almost women.
So you want a world of all women?
Wouldn't be bad. Well, they have a book out that I read a couple years back.
I would have some
I
problems.
listen, I read a book years ago. It was
You
called,
and I both.
listen, y'all don't understand. It is called, years ago I read a book called The Natural Superiority of Women. I was 15 then. But then there's another book called, I'm paraphrasing the title, but it's When Men Will Become Obsolete. Women don't need men to have children now. Okay? And pretty soon women won't have to carry babies. You know, they have this, I forgot what it's called. I can't think of it right now.
So it doesn't
Where
matter what
they're
your age
growing
you
these-
can have a baby.
we have
They're growing these
Petri
babies.
dish babies.
Right, where they're growing these babies.
What did you say? Deep dish
Pe-
baby?
Petri dish babies.
Petri dish baby?
Yeah, so they'll take the egg and the sperm. They'll
And
just like
cultivate it.
just like they do with was it IVF? IVF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
vitro.
what they're doing is they're manipulating the DNA and everything so you can have your customized baby
But what
in the
if it
petri
goes-
dish, and then it gets put into the oven.
But what if that manipulation somehow goes awry to the point
It
where
will.
this child
It will.
is
It will. It
completely
always
destroyed?
does. And
What
and
happens
even
when things go awry?
it's continued chaos.
Again,
Think about Jurassic Park. Think about Jurassic Park, people. What was the point in the movie? Oh, it's okay. These dinosaurs, we recreated it from, a fossilized mosquito, this, that, whatever. But we can control it because, we made it to where they can't reproduce this and this and that. And what did Goldblum's character say? I still can't remember his name in the movie. But Goldblum's character, what did he say? He's like, Mother Nature always finds a way.
To do what it has.
It
It's a
always
natural
finds a
order.
way. The
There is
natural
a
order of
natural
things will
order.
always find a way. And what happened?
They did reproduce.
And what kind of disaster was it?
Right,
In order
and
to
see-
get back to the natural order of things.
But the natural order dinosaurs were vegetarians anyway, and all of these were carnivores, right? In that movie Jurassic Park. So that was
That
a
was
skew.
totally contrary.
Yeah, it was totally contrary anyway, because they were like.
Well, no, not all of them were.
But some of the Brontosaurus and some of them are.
Well, no, they showed the other, other dinosaurs that were just, herbivores and stuff. But, the issue came about with the carnivores in the movie.
Right.
But the whole point was that there wasn't supposed to be any outside breeding. They were supposed to control the population and control, basically their temperaments. But
Right.
that's
That
not how
went
things
awry.
work.
Well, another major issue that we will talk about later on, probably after the first of the year, is going to be AI. That's going to have its own revolution as well.
Well, yeah,
That's a
exactly,
whole
because
nother- that's a
they're
whole nother
making,
show.
for $13,000, you can customize your own lifelike robot, your own partner, sexual partner.
Oh,
no,
no.
this is real. This
You
is
know,
real.
With accent and features and facial
Well,
hair.
there is
size
a
and shape.
cyborg.
I think she's a robot. Her name is Sophia.
Yes.
Are y'all familiar with Sophia?
Yes,
Sophia has now been granted citizenship, I think.
I think so.
Right?
I think you're right.
Somewhere
I
in Europe. I
remember
forgot
reading
where it is.
that.
I don't know where it is in my stuff.
And Sophia pays taxes.
I don't know, but she is Robotoid or synthetics or whatever it is, and she has been, she's.
And you have to charge her every day. Right?
No, but they have her, as
Well,
the first citizen.
Well, they also say
Robotoid.
that Sophia and even the other
That they
type that
have.
are like them, I forget what they're called. But,
Cyborgs.
well, yes and no. But
We're
with
talking Star Trek now.
yeah, but see, either way, they're so custom and they're so intelligent that they start to pick up on things and respond to you and your needs.
Well, even with Facebook,
And what
wasn't
happens
there
when they
some-
turn against you?
Well, it's no different than
That's-
Facebook. Didn't they have something where the computers were talking to each other and they had to shut it down? These are two
Yeah.
computers that nobody realized.
Right.
How the hell are they doing this?
Communicate.
Right.
They were communicating. They have their own language, and
Right.
so I think with what we're doing now, where we're headed, from gender neutral to AI, all of it's going
Yeah,
to
there
be.
was a movie, I can't think of the name of it, we studied it,
gonna be
about the
awful.
artificial intelligence, and of course, the robots,
They revolt.
they
They revolt.
What was the
revolted,
movie
they
with
had
the-
attitudes,
iRobot.
they had attitudes, and
That's
they wanted to
iRobot is
leave.
one of them.
Right, but there's also that movie with Joaquin Phoenix. What was it called? He had a connection with this computer.
Oh no!
Uh,
Is that the
what
one
was
he
the
fell
movie?
in love
What-
with the girl Siri? Is that the one when he? Is
Kind,
that
well, kind of.
Where he fall in love with his cell phone.
But what
It's
was it?
craziness.
But what was
It's
the
crazy?
movie? Yeah. So if anybody out there, any listeners out there, if you could, help us out here,
Yeah, this is the other movie.
because now it's gonna bug me all day long until I figure out what the name of that movie is.
Give us a call at 713-789-0096. But they do have different degrees of gender neutral. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the Swedes are very extreme, and a lot of the psychiatrists and stuff that I've done research on, they are extreme in raising their kids like this. But there are parents who practice a lesser form of gender neutral parenting, and they might simply encourage their children to play with boy and girl toys, keeping clothing and room decor neutral, and allow their children to pick up their own clothes, even if it means their son goes to school in a tutu or their daughter goes to school dressed as Spider-Man. Wow.
Again, that's disruptive. I mean, even
There's a
in
time
the
and a place
gender
for
neutral,
everything.
there's a time and place for everything, and you don't go to school wearing certain things.
And then there's another bathroom they've added. They have a specialty separate list.
I'm
And
confused.
Pink saw somewhere when she had picked up her daughter from daycare, there was a sign or something, and she took a picture of it, and it basically just said, gender neutral. And it had all these different drawings, I guess girl, boy, and whatever else
Whatever
there is
else you claim.
on the door, so you can go in there.
So in the future, we can expect for people to look like Barbie dolls then,
Absolutely.
with no.
Isn't there another guy, I think he's like an alien, he's had his genitals removed.
Oh, no.
Have y'all seen this?
No.
Oh, you have to look it up. I can't think of it, but I think he's known as an alien. He wants no genitals. He has no body hair. He has done those big glowing cat eyes that these.
See,
little
people who are
dolls-
like, it's just like people who go to the extreme with their plastic surgeries, like that lady from the UK or wherever she's from, who was so determined to look like Angelina Jolie, and she looks like a freak show.
Right.
But
The
and
lips are
anyone,
probably
yes,
oversized,
anyone.
too.
Well, not even just that. It's just it's horrible. It just looks horrible. And she looks like a walking mummy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of when I saw her.
She just
Um,
destroyed
but-
her body.
Oh, I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say
Wow.
on that. Oh well, I know what it was.
Okay, well,
those who take plastic surgery to the extreme,
Well, they
there's
were-
more serious underlying issues there. It's not just about, well, I just want to look like this. No, there's something psychologically, mentally, emotionally wrong that they need to.
And you think we're not breeding another group of those by doing?
we
gender-
are. That's what
gender
I'm
neutral?
saying. I feel this is the same.
Yeah.
But removing your genitals,
Except
what's
we're
that
trying to
gonna
make it
do?
seem like it's normal.
So that, of course, you can't have sex anymore. How do you use the bathroom? I mean, why?
How sad.
What's the point of that? What's the point of removing
You
genitals?
just have a colonoscopy bag, I guess.
Yeah. How does he
Ew.
eliminate?
I don't know, but you can bet science has figured it out.
Again, does it progress that individual? Does it progress our community, our society in
it
any
doesn't.
way?
It's just adding a dichotomy to it, another division.
Right.
There are
That's
different
and see,
categories. You have
to me,
male, female,
if
and
things
gender
are not
X.
going to be progressive, I'm going to put a question mark on it. I mean, again, what's the benefit of becoming a
Well, it's no
cyborg?
different than what we've talked about before. Pansexualism,
Yeah.
polyamorous. You just do anything, anybody.
Right.
All
Right.
of this is going against God's natural order.
Okay,
So whatever it
I
is.
found something that you were talking about. It's called, this was from an article in 2014, and it's called The Man is a Nulo.
Mhm.
And it says, in 1994, South Florida man who goes by the name Gilding was surgically castrated.
Right.
In 2011, he had his penis removed. and he prefers to be called Nulo. I guess like neutral. So it's N-U-L-L-O. But this was from as far back as 94.
Because the picture of this guy looks, he called himself
Yeah.
like an alien or something.
Yeah, he wants to become a sexless man. Now this is a different person.
Okay, because they're quite
Yeah, now
few
this is
of
a
them.
different person. This is out of the UK, I believe.
We have so much out there.
Yeah, it says, and this was from this year, from 2017. It says a makeup artist wants to remove his genitals to achieve his dream of
That's
looking
him.
like an alien,
That's him.
but plastic surgeons have said it may be impossible. And he went, he's having his surgery done in the UK.
That's him.
He's
That's
from
him.
LA, and it's called Vinny O. He
Vinny,
goes
that's
by the
him.
name Vinny O.
That's him. I mean, I'm not
So
up there,
right,
but
not
that's
up there,
him.
and he's
That's what we're
23 years
talking
old. And he has spent 40,000 pounds on over 110 procedures to become a genderless extraterrestrial. Now, if anybody knows currency
Alien, okay?
rates, pounds are more than dollars. So 40,000 pounds is well over 40,000. I would say like 50,000, maybe $50 to $60,000 that he has spent on surgeries to look like a freak.
And again, is he progressing himself? Where is he going to work? And how is he?
He's a makeup artist.
It's for notoriety. That's why he has these huge eyes. He has no color. He looks like not Spock. What's the other one? Data on Star Trek. The kind of white skin and
Yeah.
big
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
and I mean just
yeah.
looking like that. And that's an android. So you got androids and robotoids and synthroids and all these other
Cyborgs.
synthetic people out here and. So I'm just curious whether or not this is healthy, not only for the child, it's not healthy for the child, but what does it do for the parents to do this?
Well, I guess we're going to have to answer that or think about that
Okay.
after this next break.
And we'll be back.
Let's see, that looks monstrous.
I told you, that's it.
Share your
I'm going
opinion
to
by calling
share this link onto here.
How you do that?
713-789-0096. Stay
It's
tuned.
it's fuzzy. I can't get the buzz out.
I don't know why it's fuzzy.
This is Ellen Arrington, president of the Bridge to Black Radio Network. I would like to invite you to become
Oh, yeah. All right, I got to make a comment. Anthony Molina came in and said, so why is it blurry like that?
I don't know. I can't get it on.
Stand up.
Is it the phone? It can't be the phone.
I don't know how to make it focus better.
You tap it, focus it.
Tap it.
Her, that's right.
Yeah, her. That's what.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Tap it.
That's my college buddy. He's my roadie right
But
there.
there is another movie where
There you
God
go.
creates.
That's right.
Give us a call.
You went
Well, it's on a delay, remember?
Yeah.
We'll eventually say, because we're not even on break yet.
You learn something new every day.
Remember, the time is now.
Oh, yeah, it's straightened out.
Oh, it's not
What did you do
fuzzy.
today?
Just tap it.
Image.
Tap the screen.
Great employee, executive, and entrepreneur etiquette training seminars where life skills meet social graces. Please visit www.yourbizimage.com. That's www.yourbizimage.com for more information. You're listening to the Bridge of Black Radio Network, where conversations lead to real change.
What is that?
That's Beyonce.
Speechless.
Tell me already. It cleared up. I'm here. I guess that's how much lag it's got. It's clear on here.
It's clear here, too.
Okay, are we ready?
I am.
Y'all ready?
It's clear here, too.
Go for it. I think I agree with that song. I'm left speechless.
Yeah.
Knowing that somebody really wants to do this to themselves and to their child. But, again, like I said, this is happening around the world. It's not so much just Sweden and some of your other European countries. It's happening here. It's, you have, Facebook has a group of parents who are raising their children gender neutral.
Right. And really quickly, thank you to everyone who's following along on our live Facebook feed. Thank you, Anthony, for tuning in and for providing us with the movie. The movie is
That we
Her.
did not think of.
Yes, so thank you so much. And the movie is he developed a relationship with an intelligent computer operating system with a female voice, Samantha. So that's
what it was.
yeah, that's the
I
movie.
still can't think
Is
of
that
the other
different from the
movie.
guy? Well, they had Lucy, wasn't it? Well, that's a different one. I guess that's where
There was
Well, that was an
one
action-
where a guy creates cyborgs, female cyborgs, and they look just like women, and he builds a vagina in them and everything. And then, of course, the situation goes awry when one of them kills him.
Well, you know, you have no. I don't
That
think you
sounds
really
sounds
get
too far from
control,
real life
you know?
though. A female,
Yeah.
man, get on your nerves enough.
Yeah.
Then
But I think Lucy, isn't Lucy that movie?
But
It
the
has
one
to do
that said
with
your
the brain though.
We're not using all.
We're not
the
using enough,
capacity
and it
of
Right.
got to the point.
where it started using more of its power,
Yes.
and it got out of control.
Right.
And I believe all that exists as well. Is anyway, it depends on whom you ask, but a major pro to raising gender neutral baby will let you know that allowing your child to develop without the artificially created limitations that society has placed on gender is what these parents are trying to do. And as human beings, we crave to make life simpler and new information easier to digest. So we naturally want to establish categories or boxes or fit people into a little category. So
Right.
Gender X takes you out of that because now there's a new box.
Again, I think this is all in an effort to avoid discrimination. I think maybe that may be
You think
at the
they care?
bottom
You
of
think they
it.
care enough to be concerned about discrimination? I don't know that they do, or racism. They brought it all back.
You know, I think this is just people's way. Maybe it's they figure this is the easy way out. They're not realizing that it's actually not. Instead of doing the work, let's continue to teach acceptance and love and teach our children
right,
not to be
you don't
bullies and-
have to be discriminatory.
That's
That's
not what
a
they're-
social
Right,
construct.
So
That
I
doesn't have to
think
be
that's
that way.
harder to do than
That's
well then
what-
you know what we're just
We'll just
it's-
create our own little.
we're just gonna do this
Right.
you know
And now you can't discriminate against me because
Because I'm
not.
not-
yes I
I'm
can and I
That's
sure will
what- right.
because
right.
now you're an it.
They would
Yeah,
just
and
create
I-
right. They would just create another dichotomy.
Another
of this,
construct.
Right,
Okay,
for
so-
their
Discriminate
it.
against the it.
So I'd like to know, for those who are raising their children gender neutral, how do you refer to your child? Do you just, because we always say, my son, my daughter, he, she, or do you just say they or it?
I don't know.
Or,
The little
just
thing
refer
living in
to,
my house.
my child? Or do you ever say is my child? Or do you only refer to them as
Well, from
their
what
name? Like, what do you do?
What I see here from the research that I've pulled up, it's mainly they're using the term child. They're just saying my child, not my son, not my daughter, not he or she, but the child or my child.
See, that's too much.
And I
Well, if
think
that's the case, I'm going to refer to them as the fruit of my loins. Come on,
Right,
it's
I know.
ridiculous.
Good morning, fruit of my loins. looking
so
quite
who
lovely
is so
today.
and so? Oh, that's the fruit of my
My
loins.
loins. And okay.
The
Come on.
other experts, psychologists, will say that every boy and girl must make a strong identification as a male or female, and without it, the child feels lost and confused about his or her own identity. Gender and sexuality are only aspects of a person's identification. The goal is for clarity. Without male or female gender clarity, the child is not a full person. So,
Makes sense.
Okay.
it does
You're
make
missing
sense.
something.
Yeah.
You are. You have no identity.
Yeah, right. You're just
In between,
androgynous.
you're
You're
caught
androgynous.
between.
You're androgynous.
Right.
You're just there.
And think about that. We grow up and we find ourselves, and that's with an identity. How difficult is that, or has this been?
All this time. And
Yeah.
And now you want to
bring
throw
in
something else into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yeah.
So also, people get nervous with the unfamiliar, and children's going to school dressed in different ways may cause difficulty for classmates and friends, and that their parents will eventually have to address this. So if your child, who is a boy child or a girl child, goes to class and preschool, whatever it is, with a gender neutral child, then you got to now explain this to your kid.
Right.
Yeah, and unless you have, Will and Jada money, you can't raise
Now,
your
he's
kids
a prime
the way
example.
their kids are being
Right,
raised.
that's
They
exactly-
have the
they're
money for
raising
that.
their kids gender neutral.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, but they have the money for that.
Right.
People with that kind of money, I can just do whatever I want. Okay, well, that's them over there. That's that world.
And
Right.
they paid
That's
them-
not the average
Look,
everyday
yeah.
world.
Louis Vuitton paid Jaden Pinkett,
Mhm.
Jada
Smith,
Pinkett Smith.
her son, the son, Jaden,
Jane.
Oh, Jaden.
paid him an exorbitant amount of money on
To wear the
front-
dress.
to wear the skirts and the dresses.
Mhm.
Rap culture's bringing it out, so it's coming.
Oh no.
Okay, so it's not as though that may be a lighter
Well, yeah,
version of it, but it's coming.
I think we posted on our. I think we did post it maybe a couple of weeks ago on our page about the rapper who's he's this hardcore gangster or whatever, but he's in a wedding dress because he's married to the game.
Oh wow, no, I missed that one.
Yeah, I think it's on our page somewhere else. I'll have to look and see, and if not, I'll find it and I'll repost it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, think about Dennis Rodman back then. And
Back in the day, he
Yeah.
showed up in the wedding dress and the blonde hair and married himself, I guess.
Wow.
'Cause I don't think there was
and the piercings and everything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was with Carmen Electra, and
yeah.
she's
But
another weird one too. She's got.
I wonder how it affects playtime. You know how you have play dates?
Right, so you
Wonder how
can't
this
say
would-
her, you can
yeah,
say,
how would
oh,
this-
that thing over there said no.
I just don't know how you would.
I know if I had a play date and they ended up with a gender neutral playmate, I'm not going to correct my child if they say, well, she or him, and that other parent was like, well, no, I want them to be referred to. Oh, well, my child is going to say whatever they are comfortable with saying.
Yeah.
So if they want to refer to your child as a she or him, and you take offense to that, then find another friend.
Find another
play date.
Well, I can tell you something else. Also, stores like Target and Walmart, they have already moved towards gender neutral aisles in their store. They no longer have girls aisles, girl toys, doll babies and cook ovens and all this, and boy. Now it's a gender neutral clothing department, toy department, and what else would be separate? But I guess books and everything else, they just have everything all in one. You just go where you go. So Target and Walmart are already there. So you've already got some support.
But there still is
I
a girls
know.
department,
No,
right?
no, there's
It's just
not.
all neutral.
It's just all
See, now
gender
that's
neutral.
why I am having a problem. Because
Well,
what if
because
you
you
don't
go
want to dress neutral?
Well, if you go to Target right now or Walmart, you would not have a boys department and a girls department.
Well, just because it's not labeled, it basically
labelless. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that you don't have it. It's just we're not throwing a name up there. It's just the children's
It's just
department.
everything's
Oh,
together.
okay.
Right.
You know, and it's not-
It's just going to be.
Yeah, you know,
It's
and
just
okay,
toys.
well,
There's
all
boys
right.
department and girls department, boy toys and girls toys and clothing. It's just going to be clothing and toys.
Okay, all
And
right.
so, You know, but that's still, I don't know. I enjoy playing with my dolls and
I
girls.
do. I like.
I read somewhere in some of this where they said that somebody's child requested they were still in that little gender neutral stage and they requested a doll. And so the kid got a doll and yanked the head off real quick. So they said, okay, well, guess he's a boy. You know, he's just.
And that's what they do.
And they said
rip the
casualty of
clothes
war.
off,
Whipped the head off and just threw it across the room. That
and
was
then
it.
they
Never
turn it
asked
into
for
an airplane.
Never asked for a doll again. So they said, yeah, it was war, casualty of war. Just yanked the
Well,
head
the
off.
smart little boy, he was probably always getting in trouble for messing with his sisters or somebody
Yeah,
else's
so he
dolls
just
and
got
tearing them up.
one,
So
and
he's
he
like,
just-
okay, well, if it's mine, I can do what I want
Rip
with
the
it.
head
So
off
let me-
and-
I'm gonna rip that head off.
And now we're good.
And
right.
that's what they do.
But you know, all your major magazines are covering this. You know, you have Vogue and Parents Magazine and Glamour. All these magazines are covering it. So I suspect it's going to get bigger. And pretty soon we're going to
Yeah,
see
because-
them on our TV shows and all of the reality shows. Something's coming. You can bet if it's there, somebody's going to pick up on it.
Well, what I was going to say, Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner,
Yeah, what is
you know, was on the cover for Woman.
Vanity Fair.
Yeah,
right?
Woman of the Year or what? I mean, that was
See-
so insulting.
See, that's ridiculous. That's
that is
insulting to a
insulting.
real woman.
That is
Yeah.
so insulting.
No.
You've done nothing to earn that.
No,
Nothing
right.
at all. You haven't,
He
fought
hasn't
for
lived-
women's rights.
he
You
hasn't-
haven't fought for.
He hasn't lived our plight.
No, absolutely not.
And then especially one with a permanent tan. So I'm really not identifying with him. He doesn't have any struggle.
So I don't know how we can go against this that's coming, that's here, but I suspect you'll find more people, and there is a Facebook community out there that's raising gender
Well, there's a
neutral.
Facebook community for everything, for freaks and for
Idiots.
See, that's why I'm not big on
PhD and
Facebook.
for book
It's too
readers
much.
and garden lovers. There's always a group for
But
something,
those things I
and
can
that's
get
fine.
with.
Go
I
find a
can- I can
group.
get with that, but to have
Don't force
something-
it upon the rest of us. Just
Right.
like I don't force my heterosexuality upon anyone. I don't feel anyone should force their homosexuality upon anyone. Their religious beliefs, political beliefs. We shouldn't do any of that. So why are we
having to have a
doing?
conversation about
Yes,
it.
Right.
it's just.
No, I let's
we
see
would
that-
just
right.
teach just acceptance. If we really would just teach that and actually raise our children instead of allowing social media and the TV to raise our children, take an active role.
Nobody wants. Well, first of all, parents are becoming even younger. Your kids at 15 having children, so sometimes
Right.
they'll just leave it to chance. Just like one of our friends had a male homosexual housekeeper, and
Yes, of
and there her
course.
son is gay, and she thinks that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
How can you
Yeah.
have your 2-year-old around?
For a long,
And then
extended periods of
and then
time.
they were, what was the word? Not psychotic, schizophrenic.
No,
They had several personalities, did they not?
yes, that was it.
That alone, regardless of what their
That's crazy.
sexual orientation
Crazy.
is, that alone should
Right, yeah,
throw up flags to be like, I don't need you to have
Right,
that much contact
right.
around my
My son.
children.
and,
No.
and
In my
one
house.
of the personalities hated
And
that
when the
person and wanted to
personalities
kill
hated
them.
the person wanted to fight them when they
kill them,
when
yeah.
they drank. This is real.
Very
this is
real,
story.
very
It's
very
one
real.
of our
When
friends.
that personality got drunk, that personality turned into
Somebody
the
that
evil
wanted to kill.
Yeah, that wanted to kill
Literally.
the mother, kill the child's mother.
And when he wasn't drinking, he was cool.
He was okay. He was back to the.
So you be careful what you expose your children to, including this. But
Yeah.
you know, I think that it's not something I would entertain. I would be concerned because pretty soon it's going to be shoved down our throats.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, just like what you said, Daydream, you don't go shoving your heterosexual down anybody's throat. I don't shove mine down anybody's throat.
My
Why do
sexual
you
life is
impose
right.
your sexuality on me? I don't care with whom you bed down. I could care less.
It's not my business.
Don't want to
It's
read
not
about
my
it.
business. I don't read about it. I don't want to hear about it. Don't impose it on me or say, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. No.
Mm-mm.
I mean, if that's your life, fine, that's your life.
Well, guys, again, we are bringing in something's being ushered in, whether we like it or not. And-
Something is
and,
right.
And what I always say is, whatever it is you do it responsibly. So if you're going to be a parent, take pride in raising a child, not a gender X, and teach them in the way that they should go, as Phil said earlier.
Just want to share a little bit about the gifts of gratitude by Melody Beattie. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates vision for tomorrow.
Now, in closing,
Words to live by.
absolutely, gratitude, live in that place. But let me, as we leave, give you a couple of the gender neutral names. Okay, there's a whole plethora of them, at least several hundred I see here. Addison, Adrian, Aiden, Ainsley, Alex, Amira, Andy, Ari, Ash, Aspen, Aubrey, August, Avery. All of these are gender neutral. Bailey, Bay, Blaine, Blake, Bobby, Brooklyn, Salin, Cameron, Campbell, Carol, Casey. I mean, it goes on. So they've got a whole little thing here now geared up for what they're going to usher in. This is all leading into the New World Order, people.
And really quickly, we were talking about the man who's trying to make himself look like a sexless alien. I did post a link on the comment section of our live feed, so that's the link that I posted there. If anyone wants to
So
look
have
at
a
it,
look, see, and make
right? To have a look, see. I wasn't
The
able to.
eyes almost
Yeah, I wasn't
make
able to
me-
grab the
I
image
told
and
you,
then
it
post
looks
it.
almost
Yeah.
like
The
like
eyes
an alien. That's why I said he's an
are
alien.
disturbing.
It.
Yeah.
It's an it. Just want to say thank you to everyone for again following along on our Facebook page and following along on Twitter. Make sure you please hit us up at OMG and Friends on Facebook and at All About You Show on Twitter.
And until next time, we will see you then.
That's right. Have a good week.
Thank you to all of our sponsors and listeners. Check out our website at www.allaboutyouShow.com. That's all about you, the letter U, show.com. Join our live feeds on our Facebook page, OMG and Friends, and follow us on Twitter at All About You Show. Remember, at All About You, we talk about the things
Yeah, but it says
you
dot
love.
info.
Yeah.
Dot info. So they change all that.
Yeah.
I love these.
I love them coffee. Dog.
Okay.
Yes.
I just flagged it so I don't inadvertently. Oh, but although that one I read, that one could almost be read every week.
Yeah, and even for today, we're talking about confusion and
Yeah,
clarity.
and you
Oh,
see,
for
I
sure.
just grabbed that. Yeah. Worked out.
Turns what we have into another.